In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 11 mistakes that smart, self-aware women make that keep them from an emotionally available, fun, and loving partnership. And mistake number 8 is the one that surprises people the most because it looks like good communication, but it quietly shuts down intimacy. Let's get started. Mistake number 1, making your partner's emotional state your job. This is where you're managing their emotions, their reactions, how they feel, trying to keep them from not feeling certain things. And this matters because it leads to self-abandonment and resentment when we're constantly focused over there on them, although it looks like it's making our life easier because if they're not upset, then we don't have to be upset and it keeps the peace. We're completely discluding how we feel. So we're disconnected from ourselves in the process of trying to keep the peace over there with them. When we're managing someone else, we aren't tuned in to our own emotional experience, which makes us emotionally unavailable in the partnership and then creates a partnership where we're disconnected. Mistake number 2, picking partners you can help instead of partners that are your equal. This is an obvious one probably for most of you. This is where compassion becomes caretaking, where we get to fill an old role of helping and supporting and being the one who knows what other people need. But the problem is this imbalance kills attraction and respect because the inherent nature of you need my help and finding people that we can help is that we're up here. We're sort of more elevated. We're looking down on them. They need my help. They don't know what to do. We're seeing them not through an equal lens, but as below us and as us being above. In equal partnership, we need 2 adults that see eye to eye, 2 whole beings that know each other as whole. We're not having to be in a role. And to give you credit, this person down here that needs the help is also seeking out somebody who wants help. So it's a dynamic that we do, but it prevents us from feeling real connection because when we're in those roles, we're basically avoiding old feelings that we don't want to feel subconsciously. And so when we get into equality and connection, we have to feel those feelings. But until we do that, the relationship stays emotionally unavailable, our partner stays emotionally unavailable, and really we're emotionally unavailable, even though we might be looking like we're the one with all the ideas and the insight, and we're talking about feelings. We're really in this power struggle. So allowing yourself to be equals, whether you're in a relationship with the person now or seeking out people who aren't wanting to be saved. Mistake number 3, not saying the thing when it happens. This is when you have a thought or a feeling and you don't share it, you minimize it, you withhold because you think it's not worth it. Problem is, then it grows because that feeling didn't get to move through our body. Resentment builds, we feel distance. It might look like because the person is doing or not doing something, but really what's happening is we didn't let ourselves have the full emotional expression, and so that energy gets stuck in our body. It disconnects us from ourselves and it disconnects us from the other person. Mistake number 4, communicating when we're in reactive brain or we're dysregulated. We might be using the right words, we might be saying the right thing, it might make sense, but the energy underneath it is intense and reactive. It's urgent, sharp, and defensive. And this matters because we can feel intensity. We know when there's something going on with another person. Oftentimes, reactive brain just calls in more reactive brain. Our nervous systems can pick up on what's happening. And so while we might be hearing words, we're also noticing what's happening in our bodies. And if you haven't moved through whatever feelings have landed in reactivity in your body, we can often project that outwards through our words. When we're speaking from this reactive place, people can feel our energy. We're not inviting in an open curiosity that's working toward connection and repair. We're calling in defensiveness and fear and a reactive brain response. Mistake number 5, calling expectations standards. This is when we're expecting mind reading. We're expecting our partners to know exactly what it is and what we want so that we don't have to say it. And it's expecting them to behave in a way that we would behave or what we would do. This sets you up for chronic disappointment and even superiority. The interesting thing about this dynamic is we're sidestepping the fear of saying what we really want, right? It's so vulnerable to say, hey, I really want this, or like in the bedroom, this is what feels really good to me, right? That's a nerve-wracking, vulnerable thing to do. And so instead of feeling that fear, we jump into the part of us that just expects them to know. But how can anybody know what we want if we're not saying it? And so when we're not feeling that fear, again, noticing the theme with all these mistakes, we're not feeling our feelings, which disconnects us from us. We are not connected to us, and therefore we cannot be connected to the other person. And it looks like we are anchored in an emotionally unavailable relationship. Mistake number 6, carrying the emotional labor alone. This is when you become the relationship manager and the therapist of the relationship. You're reading the books, you're seeking out the coaching or the support, you're asking other people for advice, you're carrying all the weight of the relationship. This matters because you feel alone in the relationship. It looks like the other person isn't available, and why are you the only one doing all the work? But this is very similar to stepping into that caretaking position, because the more we do, the more we step over our 100% responsibility, the less responsibility there is for this other person to take. So the key here is to let yourself feel the fear of, oh, what if I lose this person? What if this doesn't work? What if we never find somebody to help, right? There's fear driving all those thoughts, which are driving the behavior to try and fix it. But then you're in this vicious cycle of being the fixer, and then the other person isn't doing anything. So the way through this is to let yourself feel what it is you're feeling that's driving everything. When you can feel your feelings, you will reconnect with yourself, which automatically connects you with the other person. Now, you might be wondering, who is this person telling me about the mistakes I'm making in my relationship? I'm Sarah Schweppe. I'm a master's level relationship coach. I work with emotionally intelligent women who have done lots of inner work, but still find themselves repeating old patterns and not experiencing the type of loving, deeply connected relationship that they most want. My focus is turning your insight into embodied change so that connection doesn't have to cost you yourself. Mistake number 7. So you have one foot out from the beginning. This is when you're anticipating the end. You're staying, but you're ready to bounce. You have a story, maybe really quiet, subtle one in the back of your mind that it never works out or you're going to get screwed over, so you're never fully in the relationship. This isn't energy, right? It's self-protective, and I get it, but when you're not in, you're not in. How can you be fully emotionally available if you haven't stepped in? This matters because you can't build safety and deep connection when you're already rehearsing loss. Your safety comes from within. It's being fully in, fully vertical, saying, yes, I'm here, and I know that I can't predict what will happen, but I'm connected to my body, and I'm willing to have my feelings, and I'm here. That's when you're connected to you. That's when you're going to feel safe and totally in. Mistake number 8, comforting your partner instead of having a self and being there and expressing what it is that you really want. This is when your partner gets defensive or they shut down. So you go to soothe them, right? So you might come to them with saying something that you want, or you might express something that they have feelings about. So they get upset and shut down. And then instead of having your own feelings about them essentially having an emotional reaction, you go to soothe them to avoid feeling those feelings inside of you. Again, same thing in all of these mistakes that I've been mentioning. When we don't have our own feelings, when we're going to the other person, when we're trying to smooth things over, we've lost connection to ourselves, and we are no longer emotionally available in the relationship. So we are not going to experience an emotionally connected relationship if we aren't present with our feelings. Mistake number 9, hyper independence disguised as self-love. We all know this one. It's the I love my space, and I'm so good. I don't ever have to talk about what's going on with me or when I'm upset, or I take my issues to a therapist or a friend or a family member and I don't ever bring them into the relationship. The thing is, you can't receive love if you're not fully there, if you're unreachable. This is just another version of escaping the vulnerability of being fully there, being messy, having feelings, letting go of your role of being the one who always has it together, and letting yourself just show up. When we don't show up, we're not there to receive any emotional availability. Mistake number 10, pride and thinking that we always know what's right. This is when we are constantly pointing out their mistakes or seeing how we're always right, or kind of keeping track of the things that we're doing well, never acknowledging the tiny digs that we might be bringing in or the places where we haven't acted totally in integrity. This matters because when we aren't in our full integrity, when we're letting those things slide, when we have to always be the one who's right and who's better, we're stuck in reactive brain. Pride is a reactive brain state. And when we're in reactive brain, we're disconnected from ourselves. Usually pride is keeping us from something deeper like fear or sadness. So again, The pride is masking a deeper feeling that we're not feeling, and so we're disconnected from ourselves in order to not feel it, and therefore not experiencing the emotional connection we want. And mistake number 11, focusing on the how instead of your emotional state. This is when we're trying to say it perfectly, we're trying to get it right, we're trying to figure it out, we're stuck up in our heads, we're intellectualizing, we're trying to make sense of things. This matters because when we're so stuck up in our heads trying to figure it out, we're disconnected from our bodies, we're disconnected from ourselves. Usually that's just a sign that we've slipped into a feeling, that we've slipped into reactive brain and our mind has taken over trying to sort it out. But when we're doing that, when we're stuck up in our heads, we aren't connected to ourselves. We aren't able to feel connected to the other as well. If you saw yourself in any of these, welcome. Me too. These are patterns that I have personally struggled with as well. And the good news is patterns can change. If you want more content like this, follow along. I'd love to have you join my channel. I post tools for emotionally intelligent women who want deep connected love without self-abandoning. See you next time.